Welcome to Builds with Blocks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, and I'm joined by Tom Fishenden.
Hello, hello.
And Matt Salvatore.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
On this episode, we will be covering the new Halo Mega Construx blind bag series Clash on the Ring. These blind bags have been trickling out into the wild. I know Target has they've been spotted in Target. I haven't heard any confirmed of Walmart, but I'm sure they're out there soon now that Walmart's carrying Mega Construx again. And there's a couple other retailers. You know, we'll probably go over we'll have like a retail show, like who actually carries Mega Construx anymore. We'll have to have one of those shows. But they can be picked up. They're about $3.99 typically MSRP. You can also entire an entire box, which I did off of Entertainment Earth. So check that out as an option. Toy Wiz online also has them. I don't think they're on Amazon. They may be on Amazon, but they may not. They may be overpriced there as well. So that'll be the topic of the show. But before we get into the main topic, before we start talking about these cool figures, and hopefully some of our listeners have had them in their hands. If they haven't, then this should be a fun show for you guys to listen into. Let's quickly check in with our guests, our hosts. Matt, why don't you start this time? What have you been up to on the building front? Have you been doing anything since we last chatted?
Not too much. I have been working on one of the stop motion videos that should be heading up that way.
Okay.
I'm just probably in the editing room right now, just putting a little more sound on that.
Nice. Do you do your own sound effects, by the way?
Yes, obviously, like if it's an assault rifle, I usually grab that from the game. But I mean, the rest of it, like footsteps and all other stuff like that, are pretty much mine. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yep. And then I guess I picked up a couple of the Halo heroes. I was able to actually find the Remnant Hunter and the Spartan CQC. He's actually a pretty interesting young guy.
Yeah, he's got an interesting color.
Yeah, I like it. He's got like a June kind of look to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it you found the Remnant Hunter at Colin Left Behind last episode, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works.
Remnant Hunter Left Behind.
Very nice. Tom, how about you? What have you been up to?
I built a vulture.
Oh,
which was fun.
Yeah, right.
Paid a little bit more than I would like for it. I think I mentioned last episode that I just picked it up. And it came and I finally got some time to sit down and build it. And I was really apprehensive because this particular wave in this set is notorious for having missing pieces. Because it's right before they kind of started drilling down the quality control. So I was sat there the whole time like, I don't want to get halfway into this and just have a missing piece.
Yeah.
But remarkably, the whole thing went together fine and I had no missing pieces.
Nice.
And it's now sitting up on top next to Smuggler's Intercept, which was my last purchase.
Look at that. Two lock sets right next to each other.
Yeah.
No, what's up with that?
Love it. Very nice. Was the build solid? Do you feel good about that? Like how it was designed?
So Halo Fan for Life made a good point in his written review that I kind of noticed, which is the sides of the wings are a little bit hollow underneath, and they feel a little bit like, I almost want to say fragile.
Okay.
But beyond that, I think it's a really, really clever build. Like the pieces that they use to capture certain angular kind of styles on the Vulture, and the ways in which they add a lot of kind of really unique building techniques sort of blew me away. Like I like how you've got this centralized core box essentially that everything else then gets built around, and kind of like seeing the way it transforms as I was building it was really cool. And I do actually want to shout out, as I was building, I was listening to a bunch of the Road to Infinite episodes.
Oh yeah.
And then I stuck on the interview with, I can't remember his last name. Yes, there we go, Scott Brick, and also the interview with Troy Denning. So listening to them while I was building was really cool.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good. It's always good to have like a podcast or something in the background while you're doing that. Very nice.
Those episodes were great, though. By the way, they were awesome.
Yeah,
a lot of insightful comments on that one.
Yeah, the crew did good on those for sure. Cool. So the Vulture is a weird one for me. I'd never been a big fan, even playing through Halo Wars recently. It's a weird design to me. It's just like this big, bulky thing that floats in the air, but it's super powerful in the game.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, it's like, oh, I get a Vulture. This thing's sweet. But I've never really liked the design of it.
So I'm going to blow your mind.
Okay.
The reason why I love it so much is if you watch the film Avatar again, it
Okay.
looks a lot like the RDA gunship which Quartet chooses in the final battle.
Oh, funny. Oh, that's
I
awesome.
was just gonna make that comparison to Avatar.
Really?
Yep.
Which came out first? Avatar? How long has it been?
Avatar came out first, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, funny.
It must have been. Yeah. There's always been a lot of crossover between like Cameron properties and Halo, though, because if you look at Aliens, it's quite clear that the UNSC takes a lot from the Colonial Marines.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the head crabs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Even the Cyclops from Halo Wars kind of ties into the mech suits that are in Avatar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of crossover, but it's cool. I mean, I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, you're copying that universe, blah blah blah," but I kind of like when there's crossover in interpretations because it kind of helps those interpretations to feel a little bit more solid. Because you're like, well, if multiple people have got the idea, we be using the same kind of technology, then that adds more credence to it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, very cool.
If a bunch of blue people show up in Infinite, though, I'm gonna be disappointed.
All right, so I haven't done a ton. I mentioned that giant lot that I split with a local collector. I think one of the last episodes. So that is finally moving on to him. And he's saving me, so that's good. He's gonna be picking that up in a couple days. I've been chipping away, and I just don't have the energy at the end of the day to I want to build, but I don't want to sift through thousands of pieces to find the one piece or whatever. And I haven't done a good job of organizing them because my space needs to also be like a kid's play space. I don't really have like a safe zone to just keep all of my leave out all of my pieces where they're organized by color and size and all that sort of stuff. So I've just been pulling stuff out of the bin and then just kind of piling everything back in. I've been doing a little color sorting and whatnot. So I feel good. I probably built. I know I built a mammoth. I built a short sword. I built an AA gun. I built a police hornet. I built a Call of Duty tank. I built a decent amount, but there's still so much in this lot. It's crazy. This lot has probably 20 or 30 sets in it. It's nuts. So he's finally saving me, which is great. I'm excited to be able to now work on organizing the stuff that I actually have versus the stuff I'm building to then pass on. And then I've also been finally opening my Clash in the Ring blind bags. So I believe I'm the only owner of the figures. So I have them in front of me right now. So I have firsthand experience with them. Tom, you're getting some in the mail soon. Is that correct?
I hope so.
Okay.
With everything that's going on, I hope they arrive.
And then Matt, you're just gonna have to get lucky soon, right? You have to somehow get into a store that has them, right?
Yeah. Either that or I'll just steal the shipment that's going to Tom.
There you go. I like that.
I'll just intercept it.
What do you guys? Let's get into the main topic. What do you think? So this is the first one we've done of the blind bags, and I've been collecting personally through just a few of the most recent series. I think one of the first series was the one that had one of the ships. I think it might have been the Spirit of Fire was one of the ships that was
Battle
included.
For the Ark.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first series that I started to collect. And so I was really happy to see that they did a Covenant ship, the Covenant cruiser, in this series because I like the fact that you can have not only the figures but also these little micro versions of the ships that you see. I don't know if you guys have messed around with Halo, what's called Ground Command and Fleet Battles. so I've found those games, a couple years ago, but they're defunct now. But the fact that you can, instead of having to have a 3D printer to keep that game going, or somehow finding them online, you could actually represent the ships with Mega Construx. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool because you've got the freedom to build new ships as well and add to it, which would be quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seeing somebody do an Orion class carrier would be really cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be rad. So, what did you guys think about just like when you saw the announcement of the new series? Were you guys excited for it? Were you kind of like, oh ho hum, just seeing what the selection was? Matt, how did you feel about this blind bag series? Just first impressions before I actually dive into what it actually is.
Well, first impressions, I think I immediately locked onto the Grunt and the Elite. And
Mm-hmm.
just seeing those like traditional Covenant colors is always kind of that aesthetic that I really like.
Yep.
And knowing that they're the updated figures, I was actually really happy to see that we were going to get more of the Elites and more of the Grunts in that color style. So I was excited about
Mm-hmm.
that. And then I saw the Marine hiding in the
Oh,
back, and
oh
then
boy.
I was like, "That's it. This is money." So
Yep.
I'm excited to track down the Combat Evolved Marine.
Yeah, yeah, he's very nice. And there are well, I guess we'll get into it, but there are plenty in the box, which is also a nice thing. They didn't make it super
Awesome.
rare. Tom, how about you? What were your initial thoughts when you saw the announcement?
I saw it and I was really excited to see that they're continuing with the format they've been doing for the past couple of series, which is mainly going for a campaign-esque focus with the blind bags.
Mm-hmm.
So having like lots of army builders in them as opposed to having loads of multicolored Spartans.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I was just glad that they're continuing with this new format that they seem to have set out for themselves with the blind bags now.
So talk about what they did in the past a little bit again, because I'm newer to the collection
Yeah, sure.
side of things.
So in the past, rather than being sort of themed around a unified game, it would kind of be a scattergun approach.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not, you tend to have quite a few multicolored Spartans thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
So a good example would be, off the top of my head, Charlie series, which had the first debut of the brand new super articulated elite mold in a red color. It had an Arctic UNSC pilot, and then I'm sure there were a couple of other good ones, but most of the
Right.
figures in that wave were just like different coloured Spartans. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I always used to get really annoyed with that because I was like, well, what's the point of me buying multiples of these? Because if I get multiples of any character as not the elite or not the pilot, then I'm not going to want to have multiples of them.
Right.
So I'm glad that they're going more towards something where they're easily amassable because I think that's what you want from a blind bag series.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the cover art? That's a kind of a like I don't know. It's a relevant question to see what it actually what's on the shelf and what's kind of luring you in to buy this little thing. Has that is it appealing? This I guess thoughts on this series specifically, and is it in line with what you've seen in the past, Tom?
Um, so it's definitely in line again with the newer format, where
Okay.
obviously we've got the spaceship in the wave as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this one is really visually appealing because it's got a high level of contrast on it.
Yeah.
And I also think that it works well in terms of the fact that they revealed it ahead of time. So obviously they revealed the blind bag series through the blind bag artwork, which I think was a really nice touch because then obviously people were aware of what to look for on shelves, and it meant
Mm-hmm.
that when these came out, it was a lot more obvious that they did. The only thing I've seen, and off the top of my head, I think it was a New Dawn that was out before these guys. No, it was the Series 10 packs. Um, I have seen a few people say that it's a little bit hard to distinguish between them, and there's been people who have kind of had to do like a double take to be like,
Sure.
oh, these are actually in the new figures. But beyond that, I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, it's got the black background, which I think they're kind of going towards. It's got pro builders in the bottom left hand corner, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting if that's newer to this. I'm forgetting if the last few blind bags had that or not, but I feel like Mega Construx is going through a little bit of a, I don't know, brand enhancement recently with their Black series and things like that. So they're trying to do a little bit more of a I think they're just trying to market a little bit to collectors more so than maybe what they had done in the past. So I like it. The black kind of base of the bag is it's pretty sweet. Matt, any other thoughts on the design?
No, I think the design's pretty solid. I like how they kind of put a little bit of an action in there, a little flood trying to get on them. I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty nice.
yeah,
I would have
that's
put the
true.
Marine up front though, because I mean, my particular.
Well, yeah, because he's so sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Forget the
the
Spartan.
Gotta
Put the
love
Marine up front.
Jenkins.
Yeah, that's Jenkins, man. That's canon.
Yeah, there you go. The yellow Mark V Spartan is like kicking one of the flood, which is good. And then so it's got all the Covenant on the right, and then all of the UNSC figures on the left, and then some flood. The flood are in the middle of it. But yeah, I'm happy with the design of it. Let's really quickly. So I guess you mentioned it a little bit, but this is more or less a representation of the Halo Combat Evolved, the first game. This is supposed to represent figure or characters that you would see in that game, at least design wise, of the Mark V Spartans, and then the Marines. If you've played that game recently, the Marines do like the head piece and the helmet. They do have kind of that one eye covered. The orange grunts that are in here, so the grunt minor, and then you see the blue elite as well. So yeah, so I think it makes sense that you're kind of when you're getting these, you're getting like a nostalgia hit from, oh, this is Combat Evolved. I like this, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it is worth noting that some of the designs reuse parts that don't necessarily work that well, and we'll come on to that in a little bit. But I think the stuff I always say with like blind bags, especially, is you got to remember, because these are a small ticket item in terms of the overall assortment, these probably get a much smaller allowance of the budget than other things.
Yeah.
So when you've got things like well, I won't spoil it, but there's a couple of new elements in this series.
Okay.
It's quite clear that the budget's going to be eaten up by that, so they've got to make sacrifices elsewhere. But yeah, we'll come on to that when we talk about figure number 4.
Oh, figure number 4. Look out. Watch out for figure number 4. So here's what I'll do, and we'll include this in the notes on the both podcast and the YouTube version of the show. I'm just gonna read off what's included and then the number, because I know that's how we can find the figures that we want by just checking the back of the bag and seeing that the number there. And I think they do change over time. It seems like the more recently they seem to be consistent, but I think in the past they may have changed a bit more. But here's what I have now. So I'm going to start from the low number all the way up to the high numbers. And so I'm going to go from I guess, is it common? Is that what they are? Let's see here. What does it say on these instructions? Common. Oh yeah, common, rare, and then ultra rare. So the first first 4 numbers for everything is 0080. And then after that, you're going to get the identifier, which is the 2-digit number, and then HY is at the end. And that's for me. I think maybe that changes from region to region or something like that. But so the 2 numbers that are the most important, all of the commons are kind of the lowest end of the numbers. So the yellow Mark V is 39. The green Mark V is 40. The Marine is 41. The Blue Elite is 42. The Grunt is 43. Then you have the Silver Mark V is 44. The all of the flood figures, and you'll be able to feel those, right, just by feeling the bag. That's 45. And then if you give it a little shake, to the last one, and that's 46, and that's the Covenant Cruiser. So there you go. Let's go.
Truth and reconciliation.
Is that what it's supposed to represent? I guess so, huh?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I
Why
guess I
not?
could go with that. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so we're gonna start. We're just gonna go down. We're down the horn. We're gonna cover all our thoughts on each one. We're gonna start from the most common to the I guess the ultra rare. But the most common on my list that I wanted to start with the grunt, I guess, because they're all lumped together. Although the elite, there's actually one less in the elite than the rest of them. But the most common, the grunt minor. There's 5 in the box, and as I mentioned, it's number 43. When I opened the package, this thing was already built. Besides the head and the mask and obviously the gun, which was actually nice because I don't like the way that you have to build the new grunts, because you have to build the whole um I guess armor piece around it, and it never, for some reason, for me, and I don't know if this is just me or not, but the very back of it is open, and I don't know if that's, I haven't played Combat Evolved recently enough to know if that is how that looks in the game, or if that's just a manufacturing, I don't know, nuance, but it just bothers me that it doesn't like close all the way in the back, and you can kind of see inside of it where there's the kind of the silver on the inside of it. So I don't know. It's a little. I guess it was nice that it came built, but the new design. I like the size of these grunts, and the fact that you can pull off the breather is pretty cool, and I like the design of this breather. This is a brand new design, based off of what we've seen recently from the stuff that is the breathers that are removable. But I'm not. I don't know. It's just the new design of building the grunt is I don't know if it's necessary. I guess in my mind. Matt, do you have any thoughts on this thing?
Yeah, I think the thing I always worry about when I'm putting this together is that, because I mean it is a very intricate, you have to build it in steps so that obviously one part has to come before the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm always afraid that I'm gonna break it, so I'm always super ginger with how I put it together. But it
Are you
is a
talking about the
very
new one specifically, or just grunts in general?
the newer grunts.
Yeah.
Well, just like the newer design where you have to put the back on first and then slide the arms through.
Yep.
Um, so I'm always pretty. I haven't broken one yet, but I'm just always kind of like in the back of my mind. I'm always like, don't press too hard. So I do have that problem
Yeah.
in
I
the
don't want to
back
break the
where
arms, right?
exactly, and I do have that problem where it doesn't look like it seals all the way, which is kind of like this like it's like this little weird thing that just kind of like irks you a little
Yeah.
bit. But
Right.
um,
Exactly. I want it to snap all the way together, like even hear a
exactly, yeah.
snapping sound as
And
it.
I wonder if you could, but like again, I'm afraid if I put too much, I'm just gonna crush the whole of it.
Right.
But yeah, no, I totally know what you mean though.
And then, so the color is good. The color is the orange. I don't mind the orange. I think it's good. It's pretty, I would say, pretty game accurate. You get just a regular needler, nothing fancy, no paint application or anything. The skin tone on the grunt, I think, is fine. Um, nothing crazy. I mean, again, I think Tom mentioned is that the budgets are in certain places, so we can't expect these things to be all ultra painted and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the grunt overall. I think the nicest part of it is the little breather. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
unique. That's a cool piece that they've done for this. Tom, any thoughts?
Um, I was going to say maybe this is a big-brained Mega Construx play, but I usually take the arms off of the new grunts and I put the body armor on and then plug the arms back in afterwards.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's what we mentioned.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah,
was
I think that's the only way to do it.
I was so confused then. I was like,
Yeah,
is this how it's okay? No,
because they come the
ignore.
the arms come in. Usually, it's like the arms are in the body. You got to pull them out, put the
Yeah,
armor on, push them
exactly.
back in.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
which
No,
just seems
cool.
odd.
Yeah, yeah, it
They
is
should
weird.
if they're gonna have that, they should just come with their arms already separated
Yeah. I
from the
think that
torso.
they are starting to. I think they've realised that they're a little bit fidgety because I'm sure that the one in the 10 anniversary packs possibly came together pre-assembled, or another one that I've got recently in one of the newer sets was like pre-assembled, and I was like, oh, that's quite cool. So I think they've started doing that now. But I was going to say, I really like how with this series they actually went more for the original Combat Evolved styles as opposed to going for Combat Evolved Anniversary. Because I think Anniversary would have been quite an easy way of doing it, because they could have just repackaged the New Dawn grunt and that would have been done. So I like that they actually doubled down with going with a new colour scheme and adding the new mask piece as well. I think it's nice to see that nostalgia hit, and that they kind of even went as far as getting a really, really vibrant orange colour. It feels a lot like one of the original Joyride figures in many ways.
Very cool. So are you saying, and I must not have noticed this, is that the grunt in Combat Anniversary has a different mask
The
than
grunt
in the original?
in Anniversary, it's just the Halo Reach model.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I
That's
didn't.
why
I don't
there's a
pay that
lot.
much attention to that stuff when I'm playing, but that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity towards Anniversary because of this, because the game basically just ports a lot of Halo Reach models. So obviously you've got the army troopers instead of the original Marine design, which is fairly close to be fair, so that's not an issue. But a lot of the Covenant do kind of change quite a bit. So I think the Gold Elite is an elite general from Reach, or no, it's a Golden Elite Zealot actually. But yeah, there's like a lot of design distinction then a few fans weren't necessarily that happy with.
Interesting. Very cool. Should we move on to the next?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So the next on the list is the yellow, very, very yellow Spartan 2, the Mark V suit of armor. And when I dumped this thing out of the bag, oof, it like blinded me. This thing
blinded by its majesty.
That's right. This thing is so bright. It's crazy. I mean, I love the dark for the Under Armour suit, but this thing is bright. And this when I saw this one, it made me think more so, I guess, maybe I'm paying more closer attention now, doing the podcast and whatnot. But these figures, I feel, just they're made more for people to have and to play with, but also customize and make their own and paint their own. Because this thing needs some paint on it. It doesn't have any outside of the visor, which is a different color of yellow, slightly. You can tell, but yeah, I think like, and this is a theme I think throughout this entire series. Outside of the Marine, I feel like they all need some level of paint, and I think Mega is just saying, yeah, we know that's for you to do, you as the collector or the person buying the blind bags. Tom, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I kind of feel like it's just luck of the draw with this particular series, because I would say that the Grunt and the Elite are pretty spot on, and obviously the Elite has got that additional color paint app that we'll talk about later, which distinguishes it as the Combat Evolved version. But I think that with these Spartans, the issue is they do look really, really basic. So even if they were to, I don't know, because I'm saying that, but thinking about it, on the Frost Chief and on the Series 10 Chief, you've got a couple of lights painted and you've got the pouches painted. So I, I think it just boils down to budget, to be honest with you. And like a lot of the time, when they've got designs that they can get more creative with, like say for example the Halo Wars Marines, it's just a case of molding parts in new colors and things that they can then reuse, so they can reuse it a lot more. But when you think about it, something like this particular Spartan, when are they gonna be able to reuse it beyond this? So I kind of feel like there's not as much I can't even get my words out, as much reusability to justify necessarily putting all that paint and stuff in. But no, I do think that they suffer, unfortunately, because of that.
The weapon is a Magnum, which is very nice. It's that nice silver as well. So I like the weapon of it. The other comment that I have, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this from this mold, is that the legs don't bend very far. Maybe Matt, have you noticed that? Have you tried to stop motion any of these things?
I got the one I have of this one is the Halo Heroes Chief, where he looks like he just like beat a Covenant elite, and he's got the blood splattered all over him.
Okay.
So I've done a stop motion with him, and I don't remember the thing about. I think I remember like his left leg was a little stiff, but not too much trouble.
Yeah, they don't bend very far. Like if I'm bending the knees on the Marine right now, and it doesn't quite go to a 45-degree angle, but if you bend the knees on these guys, it's like, I don't know, 30 degrees or something like that. They just don't bend very far.
Is it bumping into a part of its armor, or is it just super stiff?
So the thigh armor ends up bumping into some of the boot armor. So it's just how it's designed, or that's probably, I'm sure they've thought about this, and they're aware of it, but it's a little weird. It's more noticeable.
Jumper. The Hell Jumper's got the same issue. I think it's a case of them deciding to go for accuracy over full posability.
Sure. Any other thoughts, Matt, on the yellow guy?
Not too much. I think, like I said, I actually really like the basic model design of them. I think they capture, their visors look awesome, but I think they capture kind of that what Chief looked like in Combat Evolved. The colors are okay. I mean, I probably wouldn't like an army of blinding yellow Spartans.
Right.
I mean, I'd probably hope I didn't get too many of those guys, but I think that's kind of goes to how we interact with them. Like, I think as army builders, these sets are great, and so I think when I look at it that way, I would rather have like generic a Marine, an elite, or something like that, and then I would kind of like leave the Spartans for the heroes, just so that you don't have like because nobody has in Halo, nobody has an army of Spartans running around.
Right.
So I think it's I always kind of hoping that we would kind of get more Marines and more of the generic bulkier versions instead of a bunch of Spartans. But I think like I said, the design for these are awesome. I also agree with Tom, though. I think these are kind of they're not a whole lot of reusability, especially because this is an extremely old armor in the Halo universe.
What do you guys think of the helmet? I remember watching a review from our good friend Jang Bricks, and he mentions the flat helmet on top, how he wishes it was a little bit more crested, especially when you take a shot from it straight on. It looks a little odd, but then when you play Combat Evolved, I feel like it's accurate to how the game, with the design of the helmet in the game.
I think it looks fairly game accurate.
Yeah.
Just looking at it from a picture.
Okay. I've never had a problem with it.
Cool. All right, so let's move on to the third common, which is the green version. And this thing is also bright. It's very bright. It's like a neon lime green Spartan, and he's got his rocket launcher. I don't know if this is should be more familiar with this, if it's a spanker or not. But
it is.
He's got this nice giant rocket launcher, and then I like the contrast of the under armor. But this thing is probably my least favorite of the three. We haven't talked about the third, just in terms of the color. The yellow's, it's bright, but I don't mind it. But this lime neon green is just, it's not for me. Not my favorite. Tom, how do you feel about
it? So I've actually got a question for you on this one. Do you own the Banished Banshee?
The Banished Banshee, yes.
Is it the same color green as the Spartan in that set?
I can't comment because I haven't opened it yet, but I do own
it. Okay. It's just, it looks very similar in the promo pictures, but I get the feeling from everything everyone said that it's a little bit more vibrant than that, which is going to be disappointing. To be honest with you, I wish that this was the green color that they have done for some Spartans in the past. Like either the
There's like
operator.
There's like Venom team or something like that. It's kind of similar to that
Okay,
color,
yeah,
the fire
yeah.
team.
It sounds like the same color from that Banshee. Then, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Venom team actually. Or so they. If I'm thinking right, Venom's the one that's the 2 rocket pods, isn't it? That's the like buildable bit with it. Um, so they're kind of like a sage green, but then
Mm-hmm.
there's so a dark green that was last used for a Spartan operator. It came in the Grunt Goblin set.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that either one of those 2 color greens would have been a better choice. Because I mean, if it was more of an authentic green, then I can kind of get in, kind of. I am so struggling today.
You're
I
good.
can,
You're
yeah,
fine.
I can justify having multiple Spartans in like a realistic green color
Mm-hmm.
purely because of the Halo 4 intro cutscene. So it doesn't sit that badly with me because I know that we've seen that many Spartans on screen at once. Whether you want to argue if that's canonical or not, feel free to do so in the comments. But
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like because of that sequence, I don't necessarily mind amassing lots of Spartans when they're in the right color, which this one sadly isn't.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just roughed it up a little bit, like threw it in the dirt and or gave it some paint applications, I think it would be better. But just the fact that it's so clean, so
Yeah.
crisp, so like you said, vibrant, it's just a little too much for me. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the lime green is probably a bit much. I don't like I said. um, I guess gee, I don't know. I I don't really like it when they're vibrant color Spartans because I kind of look at it as like would a Spartan have such a bright
Choose that
suit if they
color,
were,
sure.
yeah, especially if they were going to fight. Um, but as like a figure that, if you just want a bunch of different colors just for like aesthetic purposes, I don't see the drawback.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say probably the 2 weakest figures are the yellow and the green for me, just on color alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with that.
I'm as we speak, I'm taking the shoulder pads from the silver from the silver Spartan and putting on the green Spartan. I'm actually into this. I'm just gonna make a multicolor Spartan. Gonna give it some yellow thigh pads. It's gonna be amazing.
Just call them Rainbow Team.
Yeah, yep, that's right. Rainbow Chief. It's gonna be good. All right, so let's move on. Let's see. So there's 5 in the box of the both those Spartans, 5 in the box of the Grunt. There's also 5 in the box of the Marine. Here we go. This thing
Ooh.
is amazing. I love this thing so much. The color, once you get it in your hands, it's just like a man. What is this color? I can't even describe it.
Is it champagne? Is
It's
it the
kind of
same
a
color as
champagne,
Smuggler's
yeah.
Intercept?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a level of champagne. That's a good, yeah, but it's not that same. I don't feel like it's the same color as like the mammoth, or a couple of the sets that have that more of that kind of golden color. But it's very nice, and the chest piece is a little bit different color than the rest. Actually, the chest piece and the forearms are a little bit different than the helmet and the shoulder pads. Um, but I like that. I like that contrast. I think that's very good. And this guy comes with an AR, so that's good. Pretty standard for a Marine. His helmet is very nice. It comes off. It has a nice paint application for the I don't know what you would call the kind of the green eyepiece.
Monocle.
The monocle, yeah. So there's a paint application for that. His head is actually well painted. He's got some eyebrows. His pupils are actually in a good spot. He doesn't have too much white around and in his eye. It's very, very good. Matt, what do you think about this thing? Is this the highlight for you?
This is the highlight. This is the
Mm-hmm.
highlight of the bag for me. I'd buy the whole box just to get 5 of these guys.
Yeah, right. That's
I
kind of
love
why
it.
I bought the box, actually.
Yeah, I love it. I'm actually very happy to see that this kind of design is coming back. I would love, 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 love a set with a bunch of these guys in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this specific armor is kind of more of an amalgamation between Halo Wars and Combat Evolved.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell that from the chest plate. The chest plate is definitely Halo Wars Marine style, but the helmet is definitely Combat Evolved. So I don't mind the color, to be honest. I think it's very nice. I love that we're taking this kind of a deeper dive into the specifics of the games, and that we're actually getting this type of Marine. So I'm gonna say, yeah, definitely the highlight. This is money right here.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good. Tom, why don't you gush a little bit?
I am so freaking excited for this figure. I'll pretext it by getting negatives out the way. So obviously, when you look at the classic armor, it's a lot more bulkier than this. But I get that they had to reuse some pieces from the Halo Wars Marines to make it financially viable to do this figure and to introduce the new head sculpt in this way. But I think it's just such an awesome way to get a Combat Evolved Marine after wanting one for so long. I mean, the only other figure to ever exist. Well, there were kind of two Combat Evolved Marines before this. There was one that came in a set quite a while before you'll have started collecting, Colin, called Battlescape 2, which was a. Oh, never mind. Maybe you know what I'm talking about.
I'm familiar with the set. I'm not
Cool.
Not the details, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that set came out ages ago and was a big $40 set that came with a kind of Combat Evolved style elite as well as a Marine. And then this was also a PAX exclusive 1 year alongside I want to say it was a Jackal and a translucent chief or a normal chief. And there were like 3 foil bag figures that were exclusive to PAX in the old articulation, and the Combat Evolved Marine was one of them. So those were the only ways we ever saw this character beforehand. So it was never really amassable. So to get a figure that is so incredibly detailed and so versatile and crucially matches that depiction of the character in a way it's easily accessible is really, really cool. And I do just want to say I'm really excited about the concept of removable helmets, because obviously in the future, if they wanted to, they could give us a Combat Evolved Marine with a boonie hat and short sleeves. They could give us the one with the bandana. There's a lot that they can do now that they've introduced that to add a lot more variety to the Marines. And it looks like obviously Infinite in the first trailer we see the Reach army trooper style troopers. So if that's anything to go by, then we might be going back to Marines that have got a bit more diversity anyway. So I'm excited to see how Mega continue to play with that.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Very cool. Yeah, this thing is worth the purchase. Definitely the highlight. And well, I don't know. We'll talk about it towards the end of the. But it's one of the highlights for me. And if you want to army build, this guy is he's gonna do the trick for you. All right, let's keep moving. The next one, next to the common, but there's only 4 in the box. I guess this is the last of the commons. The Blue Elite, the Blue Elite Miner. Yeah. And I will comment because I have them in my hands briefly here. I do. I like the style of his armor is very good. His helmet's very good. Just kind of a comment on the whole series in general, and I've already said it, but it's very plain in terms of there's no additional paint applications on any of the armor, so it's kind of a little bit bright. I feel like I do want to rough this thing up a little bit, scuff it up, make it look like it's been in some battles, but the design of it is good overall of the figure and the armor itself. It comes with a I'm forgetting what the
plasma
weapon is.
rifle.
The rifle. Yeah, it's the rifle. Plasma rifle. Thank you. So yeah, I think he's overall pretty good. I like the size of him. I think it's a similar mold to what we've seen, over the last couple years. But this guy feels like he's a complete package and a very solid elite figure. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I love it. I like the gray skin tone that they have pairing with the blue. I think it's a nice contrast with it. I definitely like that we're seeing the traditional elite miner style in the new articulation. For the longest time, we've only had like the Halo 4, Halo 5 design. So it's nice to see them step back and do this. Again, I think the color is pretty game accurate. I do see your point though that it's very, very basic. So I think I understand that it's obviously because these are the blind packs and they want to save a little money on that. But all in all, I have nothing against it. I think it's a very nice figure, and I'm glad they included that with this Combat Evolved look back.
Nice. Tom, your thoughts?
I am really, really glad that they've given us an easy way to get our hands on the new Elite Combat harness figure. So obviously we had the metallic green one in the Series 10 packs, but you don't really see green Elites anywhere. I'm sure that somebody will be like, oh, they popped up on this mission in this game, but they're not a common look for the Elite. Whereas this is kind of the quintessential Bungie era Elite design.
Yep. Good point.
So I really like that they've taken essentially what was an exclusive figure to the Aerial Ambush set, changed it slightly, and then gone, here you go, you can buy it everywhere now. But one thing I really like, and I didn't like it at first because it makes it very distinctively a CE figure, but one thing that's kind of slowly grown on me is the addition of the yellow highlights. So I can't tell if they're on just one arm or both of them. I don't know if you can answer.
Yellow highlights. Oh, hold on a second.
On the inside of
you're right. I see them down
I can't see those in
below.
the picture.
I had the rifle in there, but yeah, it's right underneath. That's nice.
Yeah, so is that on one or is it on both of them?
It's on both of the hand, the forearms. Yeah.
Nice. So that's where there's like a little holographic on the Elite armor in the original Combat Evolved, and you can see it in the very first Halo trailer that's the design that they were going for the Elites right off the bat. So I think that it's really nice that they actually paid attention to that and threw that in, because that really goes from being an Elite miner in the blue combat harness to an Elite miner that is specifically from Combat Evolved. So I really like that they decided to add that detail.
Yeah, I would say in general, I think the level of detail that Mega pays attention. I don't know. It's weird to say, but maybe we don't deserve the level of attention. They, obviously they could go further, but they do a very good job of bringing, little details and like overall, I would say what they're providing us, collectors and just, fans of the series is very good. So a lot of the negative comments are little nitpicks, but yeah, I definitely appreciate, just the level, what we're seeing in the game is largely what we're getting, and then they're even pulling out some little tiny things that you probably didn't even notice if you played the games 10 times.
Another thing about
those yellow highlights.
Exactly.
Another thing about the armor for all of them is that they've really kind of doubled down on making like little indentations and grooves within the armor. Yeah. So it doesn't look like it's just flat, So that's little details like that just kind of show that there is this kind of depth to the armor is always something that I've always appreciated a lot, and it adds so much detail to them. Even if they're not highlighted or anything, you can just kind of show that this is an armor style.
Yep. And it's that sort of detail that sets it apart from the the Lego minifigures, right? And they again, they have their own aesthetic and all that sort of thing, but like what you're getting in a blind bag figure pack or just in any of these Mega Construx is so much different. And I would say superior, but again, it's different. But so the figure representation is just, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is really good, and I think it's just in general, it's a real testament to how far Mega have come that you can look at something like this, and for $3 you can get a micro action figure that is literally the size of like a couple of fingers that can properly shoulder a rifle and can be put in so many dynamic poses for $4. I mean, you look at a lot of the Hasbro figures. I mean, I know there's a big travesty as they've just stopped doing 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figures, But you look at a lot of those figures before they kind of stopped doing them, and it got to the point where they were 5 points of articulation. So the fact that we are consistently getting Halo toys at this scale that have got this level of detail and are crucially really posable is really, really impressive, I think.
Yep, totally
for
agree.
sure. It's a testament to how far they've come.
So let's move on to so we have 3 left. The first of the rare is the silver Mark V, and he is definitely the best of the bunch, best of the 3. And I mentioned I was messing around with their color, with their I've been swapping colors of all 3. So now the one that I have in my hand is got the silver chest piece, but he's got a yellow head right now. So they're all disgusting, and I will send you guys pictures of what they look like now with the different colors. But
get ready,
the
listeners, because
solid,
if you're watching us on YouTube, I will edit those in.
the solid silver is very good. The figure and everything else is exactly the same as far as I can tell. I'm looking underneath his forearms now to see if they did anything down there in terms of paint applications. But so for whatever reason, they made the silver one the rare figure. There's only 3 in the box, so you're gonna have a little bit harder time finding the silver one than the others. But the mold and everything else looks the same to me, and it's the best of the bunch. Any thoughts on the color, Matt?
I love the silver. I think it's probably, of the 3 Mark Vs that we got, I think it's probably the best. It actually makes sense that a Spartan would have cool silver armor. I'd love to see this silver on an Elite. I think that would look excellent. Again, the design is the same, but the color's good. I like it.
Tom, any thoughts?
Takes me back to the first ever UNSC combat unit pack I got, which was the Steel UNSC Trooper pack. So I really like how when I see a Spartan like this, my head is just rife with like urban warfare from Halo. And I don't know if you guys are gonna know the bit of art that I'm talking about, but there's a bit of concept art, and I think it's from ODST. When there's like all the ODSTs fighting in the street, and there's a warthog on the far side of the street, and loads of explosions going on everywhere, and this just kind of makes me imagine that kind of urban warfare in Halo.
Yeah.
So I would love to see maybe Combat Evolved Marines in this color as well. Actually, that new sculpt, because I think that could look really cool from like an urban warfare standpoint.
He looks the most like a like a robot super soldier type figure because of the gray, right? And that kind of the metallic look to him. So yeah, I think he is he's very good. I'm glad that they added that as the rare option, I guess.
I think I'm gonna start referring to him as Spartan RoboCop.
I like that. Yes, that's very good.
Oh boy. Question though for you, Colin.
Yeah.
How are the visors looking on these? Because from the picture, they look like a glossy kind of gold for all 3 of the Mark Vs. How does that come out on the?
Yeah, it's a little weird on the yellow figure, just because it's it's also yellow. It's hard to, and I'm not great with colors, but it is that like a goldish visor color. It's not like the orangey that we're kind of used to. It feels more like more like a gold, but it looks better on the green and the silver helmets than it does on the yellow.
Yeah, because it won't contrast as much.
Yeah, and there's no outline. I think adding an outline would be nice, but you could either add that yourself or just be fine with it. But yeah, it is a different color, which is nice.
Oh, nice.
All right, let's move on to the other rare figures of the series, and that is all these little floody forms. It's great. These little squishy guys, and we've seen these in the Consano set already. So the new flood infection form figures. You get 5 of them in total. So if you bought the Consano set, you now have 8 of the flood infection form, and that's actually good for me because at one point, and I still haven't finished it just because I don't know, for whatever reason. I'll just say that I'm lazy, I guess. But I'm this is going to be perfect for my flood chess set because these are all going to be my little pawns. I have 8 of them. It's fantastic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is an excellent idea.
Mm-hmm. I have everything I need. I just need to finish it. The set's the board is finished, and I have all the figures. I just need to put everything together. So I'll just call that lazy. But yeah, it's good. They're squishy and they feel good, and they have little holes in the bottom, so you can stick them on the heads of the other figures as they're getting overtaken and succumbing to the flood. Yeah, it's nothing but good things to say about these little squishy guys. They're good stuff. Matt, thoughts?
So this would actually be clarification on that. How many come in a bag?
5 in a bag.
5 in one bag, and you get one bag.
You get one bag. Well, no, you get 3. You get 3 bags. Sorry. So I do have technically 15, right?
Okay,
because
all right.
I have the whole box.
I was wondering what the amount was. Okay, so 5 3 bags. Okay, I got it. No. I love this design. I think it also comes in the Halo Heroes Mercy, the Prophet of Mercy.
Oh,
so
right.
There's another one you get that one in. But I've always liked the design. I think they did an excellent job just with those little tendrils, the red tendrils that come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think they nailed the design of these little spores. So if you have one of them, they could destroy an entire civilization.
An entire galaxy.
Yeah.
That's right. Tom, what do you think?
I think this design in general is really spot on for the Halo Wars design because it reminds me a lot of the cutscene where Forge comes in and saves Anders.
Yeah.
I really like how with these figures the tendrils are removable as well, because I think you can get a bit creative with that if you can think of other ways to attach them to figures and that kind of thing. But I just really like we're saying, that these are so widely available. And I will say throughout this podcast, I have felt like a bit of a swear word because my friend has cleaned out all of the Marines, all of the Flood, all of the Elites, and all of the Grunts from the box that was at his local Target for me. So I'm now like, I've literally got all of them.
Oh, really? That's okay.
Yeah.
That happens, right?
Yeah.
There'll be more boxes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think it's cool that we can get these guys so easily. Obviously, like you, Colin, I'm going to have 15, so I'm really excited to see them like all together. I think that may be a very cool photo I'll have to get of loads of Flood infection forms running towards somebody. But I just hope that we see more combat forms in the future to now complement these guys.
Totally agree. Yeah, some level of new style because they haven't done much with the Flood recently. All right, let's move on to the last one, the ultra rare, and there are 2 in the box. There are 2 Covenant cruisers, and I love this thing. It's gorgeous. I love the color. I love the design. How they've used a bunch of small pieces to create a pretty accurate representation of a cruiser from the series. It has a nice little stand as well. I feel like the stand, they did a better job with this stand than some of the others that we've seen, the small ships that we've seen. But it's it just feels right. It balances the ship very well. It's got a clear, I guess, a clear rod that sticks into a little black stand on the bottom. It's got some little teeth that stick out the bottom, just like you expect from the Covenant ship design. Overall, it's very good. It's smooth on the top. It's got some on the very back of it. It's got a couple exposed studs, but I think that was done by design clearly. So happy to have this as a part of my growing miniature fleet of Halo ships. Tom, what do you think about this thing?
Like I said when we first mentioned the mini sets, I've not really picked up any of the ships yet, so I like it, but I feel like I need to get the others to really appreciate it. Sure. That said, while I'm really, really glad that they made something different and went for the Covenant Cruiser, it does upset me that we now probably won't see a micro Pillar of Autumn, because I think having the Marathon class, that's what it is, isn't it? Is it? I always get all my ships confused, but I just know that it's a really popular design within the UNSC, and a whole. Actually, I think it's Autumn class because they got made based off of the Pillar of Autumn. There's like a whole fleet of ships that are that design. So it's a shame that we probably won't see that now because obviously this is the only game it's in, unless they do a Reach blind bag series. But I think that overall it's nice to have something different, and I really like how they were able to capture the curvature of the CCS class ship with so few pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they're all the ships are about the same size. So scale wise, these ships are very different sizes when you put them all next to each other. So that would be, I guess if they're, I don't want to say disappointment because I love this thing, but it would be fun to get just maybe a series of sets that are ships that are I guess scaled against each other, which would be which would be pretty rad. And that'd be like a nice desk piece or a nice shelf piece just to have a bunch of brick based Halo ships.
Are you ready
Enjoy. Go ahead.
for me to drop another mad idea? So I did this the other episode with Librarian. What if, since obviously unfortunately Fleet Battles isn't a thing anymore, they got permission from 343 to do Mega Construx Fleet Battles?
Yes.
And every wave you have a couple of sets, so one UNSC ship, one Covenant ship that comes with a figure of the captain or a notable member of crew from that ship.
Yeah.
So you could have the Spirit of Fire with Professor Anders. You could have the UNSC Infinity with Captain Del Rio. You could have the Shadow of Intent with Ritus Vidam. You could keep going down this list of doing either unique characters or, say, for example, if you did the Long Night of Solace, it could come with a really nicely painted Elite General. All that kind of stuff I think would be really cool.
I would love that. Yeah, it's some sort of tie into that. I mean, that community, the Fleet Battles community, I think they do want a different level of realism than the brick based representation. But I mean, I would love that thing. I mean, I would amass a fleet, and I think that's a great idea. Kind of similar to the what were the sets that just had the helmet and the kind of the what they were like micro
fleet. Yeah,
the micro fleet.
Oh yeah, yep.
And they had a Mantis, and there was a there was a Hornet, I think, and a Falcon, and there's one other Warthog. I have the Warthog one. So similar to that, I think that would be. I think it would be well received anyway, especially from collectors. Maybe not from, maybe the younger, more the kids audience, but collector wise, I think it'd be cool.
I'm almost loath to say it, but if they were to do it as a retailer exclusive, similar to the battle for the Ark, I think it is, big Chief action figure, where if they did it as like a Target exclusive, then I feel like it would have more of that collectability appeal as well, and hopefully do well.
Yep, absolutely.
Matt, any thoughts? Touching off your chess idea, now I'm inspired. You could do if you scaled the ships, you could do like a battleship kind of design form, so you could actually play that. Yeah, so Infinity could be your aircraft carrier.
Yes,
you could have
that'd be really cool.
That'd be amazing. I'd love to do that, just to kind of engage with it on that. So you could just, I like the idea of having certain sets that are obviously scaled, but it comes with different carriers or different size frigates from each side, and that way you could pin them against each other.
That's cool.
And that would be awesome.
You sunk my Infinity. Yeah, I love it.
Oh yeah, well, because the Infinity is always getting damaged. That can't ever catch a break.
It gets beat up.
Warning: Ilsa Zane has boarded your Infinity.
Yeah, right.
Wait, find countermeasures.
Throw her out the airlock.
All right. Well, that's the 8 figures that we get. I mean, I guess that was quick rate the series. I'll go last because I have the least experience with these things. I'm curious what you guys think about them. So Matt, why don't you go first? What are your overall thoughts? You can rate it. You can give it a number. You can give it a percentage. You don't have to rate it. You can give it a thumbs up or something like that too. But if you want to get creative, feel free to give it 10 bananas out of 10 or something like that.
10 bananas out of 10. 10 blood spores out of a legion. I actually would say that for the Marine, it would definitely get a 10 out of 10. But
Yeah.
there are some drawbacks to this blind bag, but I've never been able to track down every single figure from previous blind bags. So just going on from what's here, and probably if I like Prez, I'm probably gonna end up buying the whole box. But looking at it this way, leaning into the combat evolved nature of it, I am kind of disappointed that there are 3 Mark V figures.
Yeah.
And I do understand that, that it is something that they want to curb costs. And, this is a very simple way to do that, different figures just by different colors. But I would have really liked to have seen less Mark Vs and maybe a flood infected combat form.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
And just kind of, or maybe another style elite for the ultra rare. Something like that. I think Tom's point is also true, that it would have been nice to have gotten maybe the Pillar of Autumn, because again, it is that kind of combat evolved, the horse we rode in on type style. So the rest of the figures are amazing. So I would probably give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Just because I'm not a huge fan of all the Mark Vs, and the colors on them don't particularly grab me. But the rest of the figures, I think, really kind of hit that nostalgia. So I think this, like I said, for the Marines alone, I'd probably buy the whole box.
Yeah, for sure. Tom, how about you?
I would say very similar to Matt. I'm going to go with 7 out of 10. Purely because I think that while there are some downsides with the Spartans, if you ignore the Spartans, then it is an incredibly solid army building series. And I really, really like what Mega have been doing. We're trying to give us more army builders in the blind bags. So as long as they keep army building these guys, I will keep buying as many of them that I can afford.
Yep. Yeah, I'll go with I think 7 is the right out of 10, but I'm gonna go with 7 frags. 7 frag grenades to 10.
There you go.
But yeah, so I'm very pleased by most of this set. It just kind of goes back to the, it wouldn't be game accurate, or I guess theme accurate if we got an armor variant. But something different, like a combat form, would have been sweet. That would have put this thing over the top, I think. If you had just maybe you could have even gone like a red, a blue, for the Mark Vs, right? And then you could have done everything else the same. Take out one of the Mark Vs, give it a combat form, and this thing would have been perfect, right? This would have been an amazing, amazing blind bag set. So they made decisions for they have their own reasons, but I'm very pleased with the majority of this series. So yeah, outside of the nitpicks and whatnot, I mean, it's definitely something I would recommend that people pick up.
Definitely.
What do you see? So I know we're running a little long, but I did want to have a couple other questions. Mainly is what's next? What do you guys think is next? Do they usually come out with 2 blind bag series per year? Does that sound right?
They did 3 last year.
Okay, so we'll probably see another series of blind bags. What do you want to see next, Matt? Have you thought about that?
I don't know if I've actually thought of like maybe a theme, but there are some figures that I would definitely like to see. Like I'd love to see some engineers, for not like the engineers, but like some Marine, UNSC engineers, like the combat evolved guys that were running around in the Pillar Bottom. I'd like to see those guys, maybe some
like modern
doctors.
articulation, right?
Yeah, exactly, and some doctors and stuff like that, just to kind of like fill in the figure base of what these guys are. Just have different head swaps and stuff like that. I would probably say that you couldn't go wrong with leaning into Halo 2. I would say that that's a good theme. Sure. Or you could just stick with Combat Evolve and just kind of flesh that out a little more.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
I wouldn't mind seeing them go for Halo 2, because there's a lot of different things in Halo 2. Like the brutes would be nice to kind of touch on and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways. And of course, in Halo 2, the Marines get a new armor style, so you could bring those guys in. Be kind of nice.
Yeah, Tom, any thoughts?
So in terms of, obviously they're doing 1 pack kind of blind bag series per game, so I think we'll see a new game next.
Yeah,
I think
that's my
Halo
thought.
2 is a really nice idea, actually, Max. Obviously, it will be coming out on PC, so it would make sense to tie in. We have seen Halo 2 Marines before, so I wonder if they do a slightly different colour scheme for them, because the sculpt was pretty spot on for them. I would quite like to see the Halo 2 anniversary style ODST done. If they were to do that, I think that would be nice. The closest we've kind of got the Stormbound ODST is very similar to that design. But what I so I'll say what I think we're gonna see, and then I'll say what I want to see. So I think that we're gonna see a Halo Infinite blind bag series, and I think that it will have Infinite Marine in it. It will be some kind of design that reuses the marine design that we've seen in all the sets as well. Maybe with a new flesh color or a new type of facial hair to swap out with the other figures. I think that we'll probably see some multiplayer figures in that, and I would imagine that we'll see some Covenant and maybe some new enemies if there are any. So I think that's pretty set for the wave that we'll see in the summer, because it makes sense to have that out alongside the rollout of all of the big sets.
Yep.
But then beyond that, what I would really like to see is a Halo Reach wave. I think that we haven't really at this point seen as many Reach sets that I would have liked to have seen. I was really hoping that we would have got more with the debut of it on MCC. And I think that there is a lot of scope for a really, really fun Reach series. So I am going to, right here, try and come up with 7 figures and a ship off the top of my head, which could go catastrophically wrong. But I would. So we'll do 4 UNSC again and 3 Covenant. 4 UNSC, I would say an Army Trooper in the Reach design, a ODST Bullfrog. So I'm not too bothered about new parts, just repaint an ODST to look nice. A Spartan Mark, is it 6? No. Yeah, 6 is armor scheme basically in whatever color you see fit. The Commando armor in whatever color you see fit, just because I like that armor. Then on the Covenant side, a Skirmisher Miner, making use of the new Jackal body sculpt.
Yeah.
A Grunt Major, so essentially the red grunt from the Hornet set. And
Elite
then,
Zealot.
Yeah, we'll go Elite Zealot. Go on then. And then the buildable ship would be the Pillar of Autumn.
Yeah, I like it. Look at that.
What was the
Very nice.
What was the ship that they harvested the slip space from?
That was the Savannah. It was
Savannah.
The frigate.
Okay, I was going to say Arizona. Yep, Savannah. Yeah, that would be not a bad one to do either. It ties into the Reach.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think the only problem with that is it would be the same design as the Fall Dance Dawn from A New Dawn.
True.
Yeah, good point. The that was very detailed, very nice. I'm not gonna go that far.
Well done.
I do agree that I think it's going to be, new game Halo Infinite related. The only thing I'd say, I think there'll be some, some new armor variants and whatnot. I think that'll be good. We'll probably see some new enemies, maybe one standard, something new. Another thing that I think they're leaning into in Halo Infinite is wildlife. So wouldn't that be cool if they included some sort of an animal that you're going to encounter or fight on the, on the ring in the game? I think that would be pretty rad. There's not like I know Call of Duty has one, but like a dog, or a they have horses. They have those molds, but we don't really have any animals outside of, I guess, our flood animals. Not really, right? So something else to switch it up a little bit to add to your collage or to your photography. I think it would be cool.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Totally agree.
They did it with Destiny as well. There's a little red animal that comes in one of the gliders or sparrowhawks they're called, aren't they?
Okay.
But I don't know if that's specifically a tiered enemy or if it was just a piece of fauna that appears. But I think that there's scope for that. Like, even if you're not having it as a versus sequence, like I could picture say for example the Warthog sex, we know that what's coming in it now. I could easily pitch a box art where you've got that squaring off against the jackals, and in one corner there's another figure running away or something. I think that would be quite a nice way of doing it. But I mean, then again, if you're talking about that in this blind bag wave we've just looked at, why didn't we see the funky theropod dudes with the massive jaws that were originally going to be in Combat Evolved?
Oh, sure. Yep. Yeah, didn't they give those guys a name? Is that the Sharkoi? Is that those dudes?
Possibly. I don't think of those dudes in the Sharkoi. I'm sure they've popped up somewhere else. We're doing some
live research.
Some live research. Some live Googling. I just saw a photo of them, but it's in a YouTube video, and I don't really want to click on the YouTube video to find out.
Yes, that would take too long.
Yeah, we'll give ourselves some research to go away and do for you guys. There we go. I'm setting you boys some homework.
All right, sounds good. We're running long, so we usually do a little community call out. Do you guys have anything that pops up? Otherwise, I think we're gonna just close the show. Anything come to mind that you guys want to mention?
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
Okay, that's fine. I think we could just close the show. This has been a good one. It's been fun to go in depth on all these figures. I'm looking forward to Tom getting these in his hands and hearing his firsthand thoughts, and hopefully, Matt, you can get your hands on them as well. Absolutely. So that'll do it for our show. Thanks for joining Builds with Blocks. If you like the show, feel free to support Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.